Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Home Studio Simplified show, podcast, channel. It's everything. Today we have an awesome interview that I've been really looking forward to with Sanjay C. Now, I've stumbled onto his YouTube channel not too long ago and immediately was taken back by not just his immense gear catalog that he's covering on his channel, but also the fact that he does some excellent videography, photography. He's got an awesome assistant, which I just had the privilege of meeting. But if you haven't heard of him yet, you're going to today. You need to go and check him out. In fact, links are included in the description of this video for you to go and find out more about him and where he's at. But Sanjay C is a tremendous asset to the audio community. On his channel, he covers practical tips on music production, gear, and even features other artists on his platform, which is a huge win. Now, if you're looking for videos about the latest music gear, including keyboards, audio interfaces, plugins, microphones, pretty much anything audio related, Sanjay is going to be your go-to guy. So some of his videos also even include music production tutorials, just like we do here on this channel, such as how to make beats, how to produce tracks, and how to process vocals. So if you're looking for anything like that, yet again, Sanjay C is your go-to guy. You got to check him out. Now, if this is your first time here and you're wondering, well, what's this channel all about? What's going on? This channel exists to simplify the complexities of the home studio and to help you make professional sounding music in a less than professional space. Now, for those of you who are repeat offenders in that you show up here all the time, thank you so much, by the way. You also know that our channel motto is that we can dream alone, we can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. And interviews just like this is all about promoting that togetherness from not just those within the chat, but also those within the audio community that I feel are going to provide another layer of awesomeness to this whole audio thing that we all know and love. Speaking of togetherness, let's give a huge shout out to the chart toppers. These are individuals who have taken the time and the finances to support the channel. They have seen the value in the time that's invested here, and they're doing their part by either donating through Patreon, through the YouTube memberships, or they have recently become VIP members. Also, we have one-time donators at the bottom here. We have our top super chatters. So thank you all so much. And unlike a lot of other shows that you're going to watch on YouTube, this show has a special little extra caveat. If you leave a super chat, you get to light up my room like a disco ball or something close to it. Along those same lines of togetherness, let's also give a huge shout out to our channel sponsor. Grammy winners and multi-platinum selling producers. And with the resources available on the ProMix Academy, you can learn how to create radio-ready mixes from the comfort of your own home studio. Most of the Okay, so I'm experiencing just a little bit of wonkiness with the audio, but that's completely fine. Wonkiness happens every time we go live, and you all know that we just roll with it around here. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you none other than the legend, the man, the myth, Sanjay C.
I love that intro. I feel like I'm on the Tonight Show or something like that.
Well, you very well could be. I mean, all right. Good to have you here, man.
Thank you for having me, Robert. I'm so happy to be here.
So right out of the gate, love your channel. Love everything you're doing on it. Love your work. Love your videography.
Thanks.
Dude, like
I spend a lot of time on that. That takes the extra time, but I like doing it. Just it's fun because it gives. I love gear. I'm like a gearhead, right? So
right.
I love looking at gear, talking about it, and seeing everybody's gear. And I think gear needs to look good, and look cool in your space. So yeah, I love that videography side of things too.
Well, the cool part about that is me and my wife actually own a photography slash videography business on the side of this as well.
Really?
So whenever I see that, I'm like, this guy knows his stuff, man. Like he's got everything is like right there. It's popping off the, yeah, great job, man.
Thanks.
but
That's
that
the great thing about YouTube videos. You can learn any of this stuff online now.
exactly, exactly. And that's where I've learned, honestly, a majority of even what I know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not proud. I didn't sit under the feet of, Spielberg or somebody to learn what I've learned. And don't get me wrong, your stuff is like top notch compared to what mine is. So you could give me a few pointers, I'm sure.
No, I love your stuff too. I was watching your video of yours earlier today, and I'm like, wow, that's so cool. He's got like two angles going on at the same time, and he's switching between them, and I love that. I'm like, I need to up my game. I was saying that when I was watching your
Really?
video. Yes.
I'm thinking the same thing when I'm watching your videos. I'm like, man, this guy's got the collars are all popping. What kind of, like, before we even get off onto the other stuff, like, what kind of a camera are you using?
I'm using a Sony A7S Mark III.
Ah,
Yeah, it's been really good. I used to be a Panasonic GH5 guy, but the autofocus was just driving me crazy. But Sony's been great.
nice. Thank you so
How
much.
about you?
Sorry, the room just lit up like a disco ball. Thank you so
Oh,
much,
nice.
𝗏𝗏 Home Studio. I have to say this name because this name is awesome. 𝗏𝗏 Melted Cheese Home Studio. Thank you so
Wow,
much
that
for
is
lighting
nice.
up the day, brother. With this $5 donation there, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Now I have to turn off the light before the starts blinding me. There we go. But with that being said, yeah, I had my eyes on the Sony A7S III and was really like going to go down that Sony road, but everything I owned at that point was already Canon. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to up my game and get the Canon Mark 52 so that I
Oh,
can
okay.
have the clean HDMI out, which I'm using right now for the live stream. So if you guys have ever wondered, I know not everybody is like nerding out about camera gear like I am sometimes. But yeah, looking at your setup and some of your videos, I'm like, I wonder what he's using. What's that? Has he got a filter on right there? What's he doing right there? Like, it's super cool, man. So I greatly appreciate the time and the effort that you put into that because I know
Thank you.
all of the work and the hours of editing and
Yep.
setting up cameras and stuff that goes in behind the scenes. People get to see like a 5-minute glimpse into all of that, and they don't understand that took like 5 hours. So,
Yes.
or
You're
longer.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
So yeah, but kudos to you, man. Great work.
Thanks.
Not just for the videography. I don't want to get caught off in the weeds on that because man, that was just one of the things I wanted to bring out because to me it's just like he's got that sizzle, you know. So a little bit more about you though. Sanjay C, where are you from? Where are you based out of?
So I'm in the Washington D.C. area. Originally from India. I was actually born in India, and but I've lived in the U.S. most of my life.
Nice, nice. So you do a lot of music production tutorials. You create a lot of your own
Yep.
music, which is super cool. I
Hmm.
actually just checked out one of your music videos.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I checked out one of your music videos. You'll have to forgive me. I completely forget the name of the song.
The song is called Undone, and yeah, we
Yes.
shot that video. My wife and I shot that video with one camera in Tokyo
What?
in just one day. Yeah, it was like a drizzly, overcast day in Tokyo, but I was like, "We're here in Tokyo. We're going to shoot a music video." So yeah, it was just done with one camera, and we just took turns holding the camera and acting on the other side of the camera, and we did that. Yeah,
Dude.
it was so much fun, so much. But Tokyo is also one of my favorite places in the world. So I was like, "We're in Tokyo. I've got to do something special here." So we got to do that. It was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it came through very well because, um, sorry, I'm going to adjust that real quick. It came through very well because the video itself, and the music that was behind it, although I couldn't remember the name, I can definitely remember the feeling that I got, which I think sometimes, like I talk about here a lot on the channel, is really one of my main aspects. Like if I'm judging a song in a song contest or I'm writing a song, I'm more trying to go for emotionally driven like melodies and beats that might be
Yeah.
behind that. And when you can draw someone
Hmm.
in with an emotion, man, you've got something awesome. And immediately like there was a couple of different, now correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a couple of different emotions that I got immediately while watching this music video. And the first was, he is like really happy right now where he's at. And
Absolutely, absolutely. I love
secondarily,
it.
it was just like this chill, like I'm having fun, I'm having a good time right now. I'm doing what I love. And that was sort of like my takeaway from that. So
I'm glad you got that. I'm glad you got that from the video because yeah, it was a lot of fun. All this stuff is like you said, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of work behind the scenes, but we had so much doing and fun just shooting that video. And yeah, I'm glad that it came through. We just chose like different locations because I wanted to create this feeling of uh, like there's a difference in what I'm going through in that video and what my wife is going through in the video. So there's like this big contrast. And I wanted to create that sort of like, okay, let's choose some very chill environments for where I'm singing and when I show up on camera. And the ones where she shows up, it's like super exciting. There's so much color, so many lights, and so much going on. And so it was just fun exploring Tokyo to find those locations all in one day.
I can't believe you did that in one day, dude. That's that is madness. So just quick question then, was this like on a vacation, or was you guys on a some kind of a business trip, or?
Yeah, we were just there for just a few days. No business. We just love visiting Tokyo. So anytime we find a good deal to fly over, we do that. And this time we just had, I think we were just there for maybe 3 days or something like that. And one of the days we just said, all right, today is the music video day and we're just going to shoot. And yeah, the rest of the time we were just hanging out in Tokyo and just having fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's definitely me and my wife, we take care of ourselves with what we call weekend getaways. That's definitely one epic weekend getaway though. Hey, let's just fly to Tokyo.
I know. I wish we could do that a lot more often, but with the YouTubing and my day job, I don't get days off that often. But when we do, yeah, travel is the best way to spend your time.
Awesome. Awesome. So Sanjay, where does your love of music come from? Like, where did that all stem from?
My love of music, wow, it's kind of been there for so long because I grew up playing the piano. I wouldn't say my love for music came from taking piano lessons because no, I was like 5 years old when I started. And taking piano lessons is not always that much fun. It's a lot of practice. But I think my real love for it and music production in particular was when I first heard Abbey Road by the Beatles.
Mm,
That album made me listen a lot more, maybe listen to each sound and take notice of the production. And I must have been 12 years old when I first heard it, but I loved it. I really got into the Beatles, like obsessively into the Beatles. And I wanted to learn more and more and more, and then got into how they produced their music, how they wrote their songs, and all that stuff really got me interested. And then knowing how to play the piano, I was like, I would love to start writing songs. That's where my love for songwriting came in. And then I'm like, well, now I need to record these songs. I need to learn music production. And it just sort of one thing led to another. But really the catalyst was listening to the Beatles when I was young and just loving that sound and wanting to create something of my own.
wow. Okay. Well, I think you've actually answered my next question was going to be, well, who's been your biggest inspiration to lead you where you are now creatively? But evidently, it was the Beatles, unless you got someone else you want to
I
throw
can
in
ex
there.
well, yeah, I would like to throw something else in there because I think the Beatles got it started, and but nowadays, I don't know, I'm not always listening to the Beatles. I love listening to new music and dissecting it. And
Mm,
I think and it doesn't matter what the new music is. I don't think I'm not one of those people that they're like, "Oh, here are my top 3 artists of all time, and that's what I listen to all the time." I'm always listening to something new, always trying to listen to, "Oh, well, what's popular right now? Why are people enjoying this? What do they do in the production of this song? How is songwriting what's the trend in songwriting right now?" And I just love learning about that and listening to that when I listen to music. I'm not sometimes I'm listening just for enjoyment, but it's really hard for me to listen without dissecting everything. But I enjoy it. I love that part of it. So yeah, I think my other inspiration really just comes from listening to new stuff all the time and trying to learn from it.
that's awesome. And like you just said, we talk about this a lot here, about the blessing and the curse of being a music producer is that you love music, you love all types of music, but you can't hardly ever separate yourself from that analytical music producer side.
Yes.
And there's times like when me and my wife will go out and we're in a restaurant and there's 150 people talking and the music's just at a certain level to where you can barely hear it, like almost inaudible. And I'll be like, oh, they're playing. And she's like, how did you hear that? And it's a blessing and a curse because then I'm listening to them going, man, they really need to EQ their system. Are you listening to that? Listen to the nasally region in that. I mean, it's just really not making that song sound very good. I'm like,
It's funny. I was having lunch with my brother, sister-in-law, and my wife, just like I think it was like last week, and I went to the restroom, and there was music playing, and as I'm listening to it, I'm like, uh, why don't I try this type of chord structure next time I write a song? So I'm there in the bathroom with my phone recording because I'm like, I don't know what this song is, but I better record it on my voice memo so I don't forget to refer back to this and maybe try this chord pattern I'm hearing right now. That happens to me all the time.
so let me know then, because you obviously you create your own music.
Yeah.
And along those same lines of what we just sort of talked about, I mean, obviously that's weird that you would say that you like recorded this song and then because I do that stuff all the time. I've got my voice memo app is full of
Yeah.
like little stuff that I've heard and I've been like, oh,
Yeah.
look at this. Or I've even got like tunes that I've hummed on here, like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh
All
yeah,
the time.
that'll work.
I do that all the time too.
It might be there for 5 years, but it'll come out eventually, But I would like to know, like, when you sit down for a typical production, what does that
Mhm.
process look like for you? I mean, what comes first? Is it like the melody and then the lyrics, or do you start with a beat? How do you sort of structure all of that?
Good question. Okay, so when I'm really sitting down to write something, because I have to say, like every week I sit down and I create a piece of music, and most of the time it's because I need to demonstrate something in a YouTube video. So I'll put that aside. That's a different process. The process when I'm really writing a song, I always start with the chord progression. That to me is where the emotion is for me, or where I can create the emotion. So if I come up with a chord progression that feels inspiring to me, I go with that. So that's what I'm searching for first, because I think without that, I would have a hard time creating the melody. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I always start with a chord progression. I go on to a melody, start humming things that kind of go along with the tune, just a bunch of nonsense, and then the last step is really writing lyrics. I don't enjoy writing lyrics, uh, but I that's one area I need to just improve on, practice more. But yeah, for me, it's a chord progression, and but then I always get stuck with chord progression, melody, and then oh, let's start layering instruments. Oh, how about another one? How about 50 more? And then that takes up an entire day. And then next time I'm listening to, it, I'm like, what the heck did I do here? I need to simplify. Simplification is also a major step in the process. I listen to like 100 things I did to it, and then I take them all away and I simplify it back to the core. And I think that really helps me sometimes too. I always go back and simplify. I don't go back and add. I go back to simplify.
Nice, nice, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a moment of clarity from Sanjay C. If you're ever at a point where you're doing a production and you're like, man, this just isn't working, what he just said, that was spot on. 9 times out of 10, you just need to go back and honestly just remove some stuff to get it to
Yeah,
sound like what you're wanting. Now, sometimes, 50 layers of guitars is definitely needed. But like we've been covering a lot here on the channel with these raw track reactions and breaking these down for the VIP members, the thing that I always am just taken back by is some of the most popular songs that we think have got all these hundreds and thousands of layers are really only about 7 things at the most. They're just
yeah,
doing different things at different times and leaving space and allowing things to happen at different times and creating ear candy. And so, yeah, it's a process to learn all of this. And I'm growing every single day, trying to learn more and more. But actually it was here recently, whenever I started covering some of Michael Jackson's work, that I was just completely blown away. I'm like, what? Like, I mean, and some of the Beatles work to that point,
yeah.
they had 4 tracks.
Yeah,
4
yeah,
tracks. And I mean, of
yeah.
course, they
By the
were
way, I love your Michael Jackson series. That's actually how I found your YouTube channel. And once I did, I was
sweet.
like, wow, this guy's doing something so much. It was so much fun. I was just there listening, and I love your reactions too. That's half the fun of watching those videos is your reactions. So never take that away. I love seeing that.
Awesome.
Yeah, that series is great. I need to catch up with a few more that you've done since then. But yeah, keep that up. I love it.
Yeah, I'm thinking, because you like them so much, in fact, you emailed me, and we talked about that a little bit, I believe, or maybe it was back and forth through Messenger. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But either way, I thought about, I'm just going to throw this out there, like maybe at
Okay.
one point in time, having like a Sanjay C, Robert McClellan live reaction,
Hey, sure.
just like
Yeah, that sounds
both of
good.
us just like going nuts over a song. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sound like
I'd
something
love that.
fun, but
Yeah.
anywho, that we'll save that for later. But
I
so
I like that though. Let's do that sometime. I like that idea.
definitely, definitely. Um, so Sanjay, you another thing that I really picked up on your channel is you cover a lot of gear, and I'm talking like there's probably not a piece of gear out there this guy hasn't touched. I mean, there's a couple of videos that I looked at, and there was one of them I just watched not too long ago. It was about um, monitors, studio monitors.
Mhm.
And I think you had like 15 different brands or something. I mean, I'm probably over exaggerating, but it was like a
Yeah, it was a lot.
huge, just plethora of all of these. I was like, oh my goodness. So but to me though, I'm thinking, wow. So if I need to know what this or that sounds like, obviously this is the guy to go to. He's actually heard them. He's demonstrated them. He's in his own space. He knows exactly like what the strengths and weaknesses are, which leads me then to my next question. After reviewing and going through a lot of these different, you know, whether it be digital or even analog or physical gear, what companies have you worked with that you feel like really have their finger on the pulse of the creative community?
Hmm. Finger on the pulse. I would say
Oops, sorry.
okay, so I do a lot of hardware, but let me talk about some plugins because okay, so plugins I would say Output, Baby Audio, and I would say Native Instruments. I think I'm probably forgetting another company that's doing amazing stuff, but those three come to mind, and
Okay.
I'll tell you why. None of those three companies are currently focused on recreating old hardware in plugin form. That's why I think that they've got their finger on the pulse because home producers have never heard nor have touched old hardware. And so many companies keep recreating this stuff. We already have an LA2A and 1176. We have probably like 50 of them by now. And if I use it and I like the way it sounds, great. But I have no reference. I've never used one in person. I don't know the sound that I'm going for. I could listen to a song where a producer has said, "Oh yeah, I put the vocals through an LA2A, and that's how I got that sound." But many home producers are never going to be able to touch one of those. Never going to be able to hear one of them. So why don't we just put that aside and just focus on solving problems, solving production problems, and getting sound that we like. That's it. And the reason I mentioned Baby Audio is because I really like what they did with their recent reverb. They didn't say this sounds like this hall or this is emulating this, lexicon reverb. And don't get me wrong, I have a great appreciation for some of that old gear. It's so much fun, classic sound, and I appreciate that many years and many tracks that gear has been on. I even have a lot of that old gear here too. But I think for a modern producer and a veteran producer, they shouldn't be forced to learn that old gear. Give us something that solves problems. And Crystalline, the new reverb that Baby Audio came out with, um, is it really just has certain reverb problems that it tries to solve, and they're practical problems. Get the reverb out of the way of the melody that I'm playing. I'm singing, but I don't want the reverb. I don't want to hear the reverb when my voice is on. I just want to hear it after. Just let me hear the tail of it after.
Mm-hmm.
It's just simple problems like that that it solves. And yeah, there's workarounds with other plugins you can do to get that result. but some companies are just honing in on the problem and solving it. And so that's why I mentioned Baby Audio. I like output plugins, they're instrument plugins, because they're very modern sounding. They're not there to recreate an old piano. They're there to give you something that that sounds very close to what you hear on the radio. So if you're looking for those type of sounds, I think Output does a great job with that. And yeah, Native Instruments again, because they have some of that old hardware gear in plugin form, but most of the new stuff they're doing, nothing like that. They're just creating good sounding, modern sounding instrument plugins, and they're doing a good job with it.
Man, that's a really good way to look at it too, because much to your point, I mean, I get a lot of emails about individuals saying, "Hey, we got this new plugin," and they're like, "You need to check this out." In which case, here lately, I've had this. It's a good problem to have where I've been too busy and actually had to turn some companies away for the first time ever.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of like now, much to your, like what you just said, I'm sort of like looking at the plugin and saying, okay, but what is this going to provide that's different, that's going to help people in a different
Yeah.
way? Like, is this
Yeah.
basically just another iteration of the same EQ plugin that's doing the same thing that 7 other companies are doing? But whenever
Right.
someone sends me something and they're like, hey, check this out, and I look at it, I'm like, whoa, wait, what? Like, okay. For instance, still to this day, Melodyne. I mean, I know a lot of people are all about auto tune and all of these other various, but Melodyne has
Yeah.
really been pushing the envelope for years now. And when I was gifted the Melodyne Studio version for the first time ever, because I always owned Essential and it was just enough. All I needed to do was
Yeah.
tune vocals. Then I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I can go in and retune a guitar that was out of tune. Okay, hold on a minute. I mean, not that that's like the best scenario to do, like, but there are times when you're in the heat of things, you throw up a
Yeah.
microphone, hurry up, play this, man, I got this inspiration. You feel it, you record it, and you're like, oh, the B string was out of tune. Imagine that.
Wow.
Throw,
So you can actually go and make those like
yes,
detail, that
yes,
type of detail correction. That
yes,
is really cool. I didn't even know you could do that.
yeah, it's
That is
nuts.
cool.
I've
But see,
tried
exactly
to,
what you're saying again, right? It's solving a practical problem. And you can actually, share that with your community saying, "Hey, have you ever recorded this and needed to correct it? Here's a solution for that." Yeah.
right, right, and
Yeah.
to
I
that point
appreciate
too,
stuff
like,
like that.
there's another one by Waves, which I recently got back on the Waves bandwagon. I'd been off for like 6, 7 years after a horrible customer service experience. And I
Oh
was like,
wow.
I'm never using Waves again. Deleted all my Waves plugins.
Oh
Anytime someone
wow.
asked about them online, I was like, we're going to pass on that question. I was always like, nah, I'm not going to be mean, but I'm just going to say, I mean, I would tell the story over and over again. I'd let people know like their customer service is junk. And
Yeah.
then out of the blue, like the affiliate manager reaches out and he's like, hey, can we change your mind? And I'm like, I don't know. It's going to take a lot to change my mind. And he was like, well, what about all of our plugins? And I was like, where do I sign? I just want to check them out.
Yeah.
But after that point, all these new plugins had come in from Waves because they're creating plugins like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so there was a lot of stuff that I'd never seen before, and I was like, okay, well, it's the same old, Chris Lord algae compressors, and it's the same old, this and that. But then I got on there and I stumbled across the Ovox
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
game changer. I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, this isn't just for vocals. Like they kind of like marketed it where it was just for vocals, and some of the marketing later on changed, where they were saying, like it's for beatboxers. Now it's for people that want to create an entire ensemble with just their voice. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so the other day I got a little nerdy, which happens from time to time here. And I was like, I wonder what would happen if you put a guitar through this thing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like I can turn my guitar into anything now without having to install like an extra. Anyway, I'm getting off in the weeds here. Um,
No, you're right. I like Ovox too. I like Ovox. And again, it's those type of things, and it's those type of plugins where, um, and that's kind of experimental, right? Ovox
mhm.
is not I'm trying to do this and solve this problem. It's hey, I want to create an interesting sound, and get creative. It's but it's one of those. Yeah, it's another one of those plugins where yeah, it just allows you to be creative. You don't need any former training in anything. You don't need to have the hardware or have heard the hardware. It just gets you creative real quick. I love that kind of stuff.
That brings me to, now this question wasn't necessarily one that I had given you, but I wanted to ask, what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on BandLab? Have you ever used it or?
I actually haven't used BandLab. No, um, I used Cakewalk for a
Hmm.
video once. So I was building this. I was creating this video. I was trying to build a studio, home studio, $350, including the computer. So I had to look for a free DAW, and I landed on Cakewalk, and I really liked it. But yeah, I since then I haven't used anything but BandLab.
Okay. Okay. I was just curious because there's a lot of those free packs and it's like a
Yeah,
browser based DAW. So I didn't know. Now, in my personal opinion, for those of you who are watching, because I'm a Cakewalk user, have been for over 20 years. When they launched the BandLab version side of this, I was like, eh. And then I tried it. And to be honest, guys, I'm still kind of like, eh, because
yeah.
don't crucify me, guys, because what I noticed was because you're running through a browser, if you don't have a blazing fast internet connection, the latency is horrible. And it's almost impossible to even create anything unless you're using their loops or loop based material. So if you're like a rapper, a beat maker, something like that, it's perfect. You can create it on the go, bring it back home, even fly it into Cakewalk seamlessly and create it there. And what I have noticed though is if you're wanting that portability, you can actually create it in Cakewalk, load it into BandLab. So there's that, you know. But I was just curious because they have a lot of sound packs and they're doing a lot of cool stuff. Don't get me wrong, especially with like the new, just did a video on this called the Song Starter, which is really cool. If you're going through like writer's
I have to
block or
check
something
that
like
out.
that, you can just kind of like
Yeah.
click the dice and it gives you sort of a idea that you can, oh, okay, that
Oh, that's
inspires
cool.
me. Um, but yeah, with that being said, so you go through all this gear, you go through all these plugins all the time. We've talked about a lot of them here. But
Yeah.
what's the one piece of gear that you feel like, man, this is, whether it be physical or digital, where you just kind of feel like, man, this is just like way too good to be true for the cost?
Too good to be true for the cost. Okay, the one sticks out to me. It's the Arturia Micro Freak. So it's this little synth that sounds good. I think I don't remember exactly. I think it's like $350 or maybe 400 at the most, or maybe it's 300. I don't know, but it is a really good deal for what you get. And what makes it even better? So it was a good synth when it came out. It's a fun synth, makes some good sounds. Then they kept on improving it with firmware updates. So another firmware update, and you've got a bunch of new sounds. Did another one, and it turned it into a vocoder. And they keep doing this, and I'm like, this is real value. I bought something. It was great when I first bought it, but it keeps getting better now.
Right.
And it was already inexpensive for what you were getting. So I think that really comes to mind. I think for the value for what you get I think it's pretty cool set.
Now, you've actually done a in-depth video on that, haven't you?
I didn't do an in-depth one. I actually did. I named it as one of my favorite products from, I forgot the year they came out, but I kind of do a roundup at the end of the year, like my favorite plugins and hardware released this year, and that made my list in that video. So it was kind of like a very short. I just let people listen to the sounds, talked about it a little bit.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I've currently made your lovely assistant a moderator. So if you want to post any links to anything that he's talking about to link back to you guys, to your channel, to a video that you've done,
Oh,
feel free to
nice.
do so.
Thanks.
So Sanjay, I got a question. If we went
Yeah.
back 20 years ago, what would younger
20
Sanjay
years.
tell the older Sanjay when it comes to music production?
The first thing that comes to mind is start early, start now, don't wait. I think that's the one thing about music production. I think. Oh, and another big thing is just stay away from perfection. Just
Yes.
stay away from it. Uh, I think one thing that's really helped. So yeah, I was producing music even 20 years ago, and I really spent too much time thinking I didn't know enough,
Hmm.
and that I think that was wrong. yeah, there's always something we could learn. But if you're waiting for the time where you have enough information, you're going to be too late. Just start producing stuff, start releasing it now with what you know. You're always going to get better, and then keep releasing more. So yeah, I would definitely give myself that advice, and I would give myself the same advice about YouTubing too. I wish I had started YouTubing earlier too, because it gave me the motivation to keep creating. So
Yes.
even creating, just creating music even. So I think YouTube has been a huge motivator, and especially because of that second thing I said, don't strive for perfection. Every week, if I create a new track or if I create a new piece of music, I don't have time for perfection because the video has to be out on Saturday. Create the music now, and I can work on it for a few days. But if by Friday it's it's not perfect to my ears, too bad, too late. It's got to go. And I think that really helps. And maybe if you're a viewer and you don't have a YouTube channel, but you still want to get your music out and keep creating, give yourself deadlines, hard deadlines. Like I'm gonna finish this song by the end of next week, and that's it. It's going up, pushing it to DistroKid, pressing the button, that's it. Because we can go and tweak our tracks for years, but I don't think we learn enough by doing that. I think you're just gonna learn more by putting things out more, learn something new, apply it, put it out there. And that builds your audience too.
This has been another moment of clarity from Sanjay C.
Every time you do that, I see that. What was it? Was it a star or something? And it says the more you know goes across the screen on TV.
Yeah.
Was that
The
like
more
NBC or
you
something?
know.
Yeah.
What was that? Reading Rainbow? I'm thinking Reading Rainbow. I don't think it's Reading Rainbow.
No, it wasn't. It was like I remember this like after school, it would just come on the screen. Like there would be some public service announcement or some tip from some actor, some B-level actor at the time, and they would come on screen, say something philosophical, and then it will go
Right.
across the screen. The more you know.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't remember exactly what any of that was. That's weird. I'm sure I learned a lot because of that. Now I know more. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look that up now. I'm interested. Um, so you've actually answered the next question that I had, which was if you had any aspirations for releasing new music, which evidently, if you're releasing stuff every single week, you've got plenty of aspirations. But let's quantify that and say, do you ever find yourself wanting to release like an album of music?
Oh yeah, for sure. But you know what? These days, I feel like the the album makes sense if you have a concept for. I want people to listen like this in this order. So I don't know if it's an album, but a collection of songs, yes, I definitely would. I've got a bunch of songs that I've written half of them. I haven't completed so many songs, and I need to get to that. And it's very different from writing for YouTube. When I write for YouTube, I kind of many times I'm like, I'm never going to finish this, and it's totally okay because I just needed to demo this plugin. Um, but when I really land on something I really love, then yeah, I'm like, I've got to finish this song, and I've got a catalog maybe of around 5 to 10 songs that I really want to finish and release them together. Maybe I won't release them as an album. Maybe I'll just release them one by one as I finish. But yeah, it's something that's definitely high on my list. I think about it every day.
Have you ever thought about the aspect of vinyl?
I never have. I wasn't into vinyl for many, many, many years, and I just recently, like last year, I got a turntable again and bought a few records that of albums, kind of like my must-have albums or like albums from artists who I've seen in concert in live. I got that, started listening again, but yeah, I never really thought of that releasing something in vinyl. It's an
I
interesting
was
question.
I was just curious because I've actually had the itch lately. I don't even know why. I was just thinking, I was like, man,
Are you really
that's
into vinyl?
well. See, like I grew up. Some of my favorite albums growing up, actually, what got me into music production was when my dad put on a Rush 2112 album. And
Okay.
at that time, my grandma, she had this huge, I mean, album, like record players back then. enormous. And but I remember this thing like took up like the whole half side of my room, and it had this huge like lift up lid. But he was in the other room and he put Rush 2112 on there, and I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And but then I went on this tangent, if you want to call it this, of what does it sound like backwards?
Oh, no way.
Because at that time there was like all of this, and there still is like this mystique about, well, he's saying backwards. Oops.
Yes.
Sorry. I just hit a piece of outboard gear that gave me, whew, thought I was having flashbacks there for a minute.
I thought you were letting us listen to what you sound like backwards.
No, but yeah, so I started playing like, you know, the typical like Stairway to Heaven backwards and stuff like that, like trying to get down there next to the speaker, and I think I heard him say something. And another one, Bites the Dust, that was another great one. But then my favorite one out of all those backwards though was Judas Priest's Breaking the Law. Played that one backwards, and I don't know if they meant to do that or not, if that was like one of those Easter eggs of that era where they would like, hey, let's just throw something backwards on the record, see if people will find it. Kind of like the hidden track when it came to CDs.
Right.
Where it would just keep playing off and be like, oh, there's another song at the end of this Nirvana CD. But yeah, I was playing it backwards, and craziest thing, okay, to this day, it's still like, it's mind blowing. You can only, whether you're playing it backwards or forwards, you have one volume level on that record player, okay?
Okay.
However, I'm playing this Judas Priest album backwards, and the record player got incredibly loud and said, in the clearest voice possible, "I'm angry."
No way.
Dude, it was like, "I'm angry." And about that time, this is no joke, guys, you can call my mom up, okay, because she was there and we were both freaked out. Every shelf in the house fell at the same time.
No way. Okay.
I'm not joking. I am not joking.
Wow.
I grabbed everything that I could that was worth somewhat of value to me, grabbed my mom, and we ran out of that apartment, ran down to my grandma's, and I was like, "Grandma, you got to go pray over the apartment." Something horrible has happened. Oh man. From that day forward,
that's hilarious.
I did not do the backwards radio. But yeah, I don't know, like here recently, vinyl's been really making a comeback. And so I got to thinking about that the other day, and I was like, I wonder what some of my songs would sound like on vinyl. Like it would just be cool to have that to like put up on a wall. Like, here's my record, you know, like I don't know. I just kind of wondered like if you'd ventured into that or not, or.
No, I haven't thought about it. But now, I mean, to everyone watching this, now you know when Robert releases something on vinyl, you get it and play it backwards.
Right. It's going to say
hidden message for you.
It's going to say awesomeness. And then all of the shelves in the house will go back to where they need to be. So, Sanjay, what's your favorite part about having your own platform and having a presence on YouTube? What's your favorite part about creating this platform that you have?
I think it's every time someone puts in the comment section that they started producing music because they watched my videos, or they put their studio together based on stuff that I recommended and they're loving it, or hey, they just tried Ableton after watching my tutorial and they were finally able to understand it. That is the best ever. And I think it's because I had a hard time learning music production when I first started, and I didn't find it. YouTube wasn't around, so there weren't a lot of resources for me to learn from, and it frustrated me. And it took me a long time to learn. And now I'm like, if I can help somebody in the way that I couldn't find help, then it's like having a small piece in the correction of the universe. And I love that feeling. And it's like, if somebody says that I inspired them to do something, somebody says I inspired them to write a piece of music, or check this out, I just finished this song because I learned something from you. Yeah, that's just the best. But I'll tell you another thing that's really cool. Um, being my own boss. I like that. YouTube or any content creation. Exactly. Any content creation, even if you're a songwriter, a musician, an artist, or you're really your own boss because you decide when you're going to put that content out, how much of the content you're going to put out, what you're going to say, what you're going to write, the music you're going to write, the lyrics, all that stuff, and being able to see that start to finish. I love that feeling to have an idea, see it through. It's kind of like creating something out of nothing, and I think that's what artists get to do, and that's what creators get to do, or share something that they're really passionate about. So, being your own boss and not being under somebody else's thumb to say, "Here's what you're going to do and when you're going to do it." I think it's I've never experienced this before because I've been in a corporate job for so many years, but this has been freeing.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
I have to concur with that because there are times when, I still work a job myself at a place that is a soul sucking factory job. And I'm just going to be honest. And people like, even to this day, like, when I interviewed, Chris Bradley from Produce Like a Boss, and we were talking off camera, and she was like, man, your assistant is like really busy. And I was like, yeah, my assistant. She was like, wait a minute, you're doing this all on your own? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, why? How are you? What is going, like, do you sleep? I was like,
Yeah.
it's very mind numbing at times, but that is at the end of the day, what you just touched on is one of the aspects that keeps me going is knowing that I'm doing this because I love music. I love helping people and I love just fiddling around with stuff. So this is like
Yeah.
another creative aspect of my life that I don't think I could do without. I mean, if
Yeah.
YouTube, blew up tomorrow and their stocks plummeted or whatever, I'd still be alive. I'd still be happy. Don't get me wrong. But there's so much gratification that comes from reading the comment section and knowing that you're helping people, knowing that, and my wife knows this. She's like, you're happiest when you're helping people. And I said, yes,
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing to do in life. If I can help someone, or I love explaining stuff. That's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
what,
Me too. Yeah.
that's actually what brought me to this channel and helped me to formulate this, because at the time I was when I first started, was going on to these forums, which have changed their names since then. So I won't mention the
Yeah.
old name. Um,
I know which one you're talking about.
but I'd go on there and ask a simple question like, hey, is this how you guys would record an electric guitar? And I would get 500 comments, all of them conflicting, all of them telling me this is the only way to do
Mm.
this. All of them telling me
Oh,
it's got to be
yes.
and I was like, or here's the other thing I would get. How do you record an electric guitar? Well, actually, the radiation attenuation is provided by a 4.2 centimeter layer monocrystal beryllium silicate infused with semiferrous polycarbonate cores. That in turn causes an introverse magnetic wave spectrum to run into a reverse polar pattern.
Okay, so you know that guy too. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, where do I put the microphone again? So, immediately after running into several conversations like that, I was like, these people need a place to go where they can just hear it simplified. Like, hey, listen, want a good guitar recording? Use an SM57, place it on the edge of the cone. Boom. You don't like it?
There you go.
Move the microphone. Boom.
Yeah. I love that, and I love that you're focusing on that for your channel, and we need it so much. And we need people who say you don't need all this stuff. You don't need to do it the way that so and so said. Do it your way. By the way, here's how I did it with like an SM57, just pointed this way, and I got this tone. And if you like it, do it yourself too.
Exactly.
That's it. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love that. I love that you're doing that.
And the more that you fiddle and the more that you try stuff out, you're going to find out like what works and what doesn't. And then you start slowly building up this reservoir of knowledge of
Yeah.
whenever you come to a situation where maybe you have to record someone in a studio that you're not familiar with, you can go, well, when I was at my home studio, I stuck an SM57 on the edge of the cone and I moved it over 2 inches to get the tone that I wanted. Here we go. So
Yeah.
I think practical information like that is much to your point, is definitely needed in the day and age which we live. There's way too many people that are still to this day, which I don't know why, but they're still to this day waving their fingers and they're saying, if you don't have analog gear and you don't have a real mic and or $2,000 microphone, with a real amp in a real room pushed at 11, you're not going to get the sounds that you want. Guys, that's just, it's an antiquated thought system right now, because we are living in the time and hour right now where anything is possible with a very limited amount of funds. And Sanjay has done an awesome job of highlighting that on his channel too. That's the other thing that I love about his channel is he's not just covering like, today, this $7,000 piece of gear is going to get you the best vocals ever. He's like actually trying to show you like, here's what's the bare minimum that you need to get the best results. I love that. And not to mention, I mean, he is showing some higher end stuff from time to time, but he's doing it in a way, I feel like he's doing it in a way that's sort of balancing out the scales. Like, yes, you can pay this much to get the sound, but there was a recent video you did not too long ago, and I can't remember necessarily the couple of pieces of gear that you were kind of like shooting out, but you were like, this one is this much money and you can get this sound, or you can pay this much money and get close to the same thing. So you were giving them options, like, because there are people out there that would, you know, they would jump through hoops and pay any amount of money to get that piece of gear that's mainly just because it has that name on it. And for those people, you've got that video created. And for the other people like myself who are cheapskates, we would go, hey, that that cheaper piece of gear just got really close to doing the exact same thing. So
exactly,
I like it. I like it a lot. I just got taken back by the fact by your background changed on me for a second there.
I'm going to turn it back on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely assistant who's been in the background this whole time.
Yes, 𝗬𝗲𝗰's here. My wife, 𝗬𝗲𝗰's right here.
There she is.
I'm the ghost.
Yeah. By the way, she curates all the music for my Saturday music gear news reports, and she's the one that finds the independent artists out there, and
the recruiter.
We get to highlight some independent artists in my videos every Saturday. So yeah,
that is
she's
awesome.
backing it up, but she's not getting our TV to work yet.
It's fine, even if it don't work.
It's glitching.
It just kind of threw me off for a minute because I was like, what happened?
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah,
it happens again.
Yeah, it's not real. Yeah, that's not the view from my window, unfortunately. Right. It is a TV.
That would be nice.
Great interview, by the way. I'm really enjoying listening to both of you. It's very motivational. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And actually, now that you're on here, because
okay,
whether you wanted to be or not, now that you're on here, I wanted to talk about that aspect too of you guys actually have been creating this community, which I think is really cool, because I'm all about community here on the channel. I love bringing on people's like heart and soul, their music, like that they're bearing their sleeves, you know, and they're putting it out there. We have a monthly song contest here on the channel, and so everybody will pile in, they'll submit their songs, and then we go and we have, at the end of the month, we have a listen together where we all listen to those songs together. I give my professional feedback, and other people in the chat give feedback. It's super fun, super cool. I noticed though that you guys actually have something similar, not really similar, but kind of similar, where you do a featured artist. Very cool. And so she's the brains behind this. Oh yeah.
She is the curator of those artists. So so what we get to do is have people post their music on Instagram all the time. I know tons of people who are doing this, right? And sometimes it's even beat makers that I just made this really cool loop, and you know, they're looking for a rapper to rap on it, but they're producers creating music and they post it on Instagram. So I told them very early on, just hashtag Sanjay C News on your beat, and 𝗬𝗲𝗰's going to go and search on Instagram and find your music, and we'll choose somebody every week and talk about your music, and they can follow you and everything.
Yeah.
That is
it's a lot of fun. I think you know, with Sanjay's channel, what's so amazing, like you guys were talking about simplifying all the jargon and the complicated stuff that people like to put out there because that's what makes them intelligent. But intelligence is also building a community filled with love and sharing music and insights, and you know, creating a community where you're kind of uplifting people. And he does that so well, like either through the comments or, you know, us featuring an independent artist. It could be someone with 0 followers, which we've shared, like the person has a private account, 0 followers, but they're creating something,
right?
You know, and they're putting themselves out there. It doesn't matter if you have 0 or 10,000 followers, or 50,000 followers. You know, it'll be anyone from anywhere around the world. I like to mix it up. Like I try to put out music each week that's kind of different genre from different parts, you know, so it's not the same. It depends on how many people are actually sharing and want to be featured. But I love that part that, you know, this channel is not just him, but we know that the people following or watching or learning are part of this community. We call it the MTMYL community. And part of that community is listening to each other, hearing each other's music. And then if you like it, you share it with other people. And they reach out back to me or Sanjay and tell us like, a year ago, you know, you featured me and this is what I've done, or this is how much I got paid by other projects that saw me on your channel, or this is a confidence I had, or I've come up with, whatever it is. So it's really cool.
Yeah. That's super cool that you guys are doing that, because a lot of people, and this is what I love about your channel, is I've noticed is a lot of people that get to the status that you've gotten to, and I think you're almost crossing 400,000 subs now.
Getting
help
close.
us get there.
Getting close.
Yes.
Congratulations. But
we're almost there.
To people, some other channels that I've seen come and go, and what I mean by come and go is I've unsubscribed to them after they get to that status where they're like, no longer will I ever give any accreditation to anyone who's helped to get me here. But what I see is much like what you guys are doing is the same thing that I'm trying to do, is let people be actively involved in the community and let them know, like, this isn't just my channel. It's not just my kingdom that I'm building. This is about us. And the fact, this is another thing. I'm just going to throw this out there, guys. So for those of you that are watching, this is the other thing that I love. Sanjay is always smiling. I mean, I'm not saying
that's because I'm behind the camera staring at him.
Yeah. She's looking at me from the other side and smiling.
Right.
I love this stuff, and I want people to be smiling when they're watching my videos, I guess.
No, well, it comes through. I mean, whenever I watch your video, I feel like I'm sitting down with an old friend and we're just sharing some stuff about music. I mean, that's the same vibe that I'm trying to send out to, and I'm trying to create a community that is equally as loving and as inviting. I think the world needs that right now. And obviously, music is a great go-between for that, because we've talked about this on the channel with several different other individuals too, where, you know, there might be two people that have diametrically opposed points of view, and see you.
I'll let you continue your interview.
Okay. Thanks for being on, though. Good to see you have that support. My wife supports me too. She does. She's
my biggest supporter.
Yeah, she's very camera shy though, and I got her on the 10,000 subscriber live stream.
Okay.
And she was like, what do I do? I was like, just relax. It's okay. I mean, but God love her. She's, someone has lit the room up again. It's the Melted Cheese Home Studio. Thank you so much.
Oh, does that happen when you get like a, what do they call it? Super thanks?
Yeah,
or
super chat. Yeah.
Or something like, super chat. Nice.
It's kind of a way to let me know like that it's happened, so I don't miss it. So thank you so much, 𝗏𝗏. I appreciate that, buddy. But yeah, where was I at? Oh, so anyway, she got on the live stream and she kind of like was, you know, stage fright and stuff like that. But then she sort of started warming up, and but she's very supportive of what I do too, and that definitely helps. So kudos to you for having a good woman in the corner to help push you along and motivate you. Lord knows they motivate us.
Yes, absolutely, for sure.
So,
and especially on the bad days, right?
Exactly. And those are the days when Sanjay isn't smiling, that she's standing behind the camera going, Sanjay, what are you doing? But we all need that. We definitely do. Sanjay, this has been absolutely amazing. I would like to, what are some of the best ways that people can connect with you and your work?
So, of course, on YouTube, youtube.com/Sanjay C, on Instagram @Sanjay C. You can find me on Spotify, but also check out my website, sanjayc.com, because I do have some sample packs there. I've got some free sample packs. I've got a virtual instrument that I created with my original Rhodes Mark I electric piano.
Nice.
And I have a free version of that too. I'm into this free thing. Like every Saturday, I share a free plugin that I find. But I also have free stuff on my website. So yeah, check it out. And if you do like, you want to support my work, I've got merch there as well, or you can buy a sample pack. But yeah,
Very nice.
youtube.com/Sanjay C. That's where to find me every week.
Good deal. So along those same lines, in the description of this video, I have links to everything that he's just spoke of. So whether you want to follow him on YouTube, Instagram, I got it all down there. Got all of his handles. So go and check him out, definitely. Now, there are a couple more questions that were not included. These are curveball questions.
Oh, great.
This is what everyone says every time. Okay, so curveball question. It's a two-part question, okay?
Okay.
Sanjay C, what is your favorite color?
Oh, man.
That's why it's a curveball.
Just had a conversation about this with my wife, and I was like, I don't think I have a favorite color anymore. Okay. Some years ago, I would have said black, so I'll stay with black, and I'm wearing black. There you go.
Awesome. Awesome. So, second part of this two-part question, what does the color black smell like?
It smells like barbecue, like amazing barbecue. Yeah. It's the first thing that came to mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have another successful answer to Robert's curveball question. That is awesome. I love asking those questions. Every time it just, the answers that come back are absolutely amazing. So, so guys, if you want to find out more about Sanjay, like I said, the links are in the description. This will not be the last time that you see him on the channel. I guarantee it. I absolutely really loved this interview. I really did.
Thank you. So did I. It's so nice to chat with you, and I'm so glad to be here for your audience as well. And I love your channel. Keep doing what you're doing too. I love coming by and watching your your listening sessions and your reactions, and also your mixing sessions. So yeah, I love it so much. My audience can learn from you as well. So I'll be referring them to this video too, and your channel.
Sweet.
Check it out too.
Sweet. Thank you so much for that. So if you all are interested in finding him, like I said, links are in the description. He's going to be around here more often. Go and check him out when this video is over. Don't hesitate. Go and check out his work. I guarantee if you have not seen anything that he's done up until this point, you are going to be taken back. You're going to be like, wow, this guy knows his stuff. So I'm having an individual right now asking me to spin the wheel. So we have there's sort of this cheesy thing that we do here on the channel that I think is absolutely amazing. But we have what's called the Wheel of Awesomeness. It looks something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, let's spin the Wheel of Awesomeness. That's right. And then I usually talk in this voice. It would be very rude of me not to spin the wheel now that I've actually showed it. So Sanjay, while you're here, you're going to be the first guest ever to be present while the wheel is being spun.
Oh my gosh. All right. I love this. Let's do it.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm going to bring in 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗧𝗵𝗲 coming in with the top 5 countdown. We've got a favorite. Ladies and gentlemen, drop it in the chat. What's your favorite? Favorite what? Favorite plugin. Drop it in the chat.
I like that.
I always get taken back.
This is awesome. Yeah, you're really good with the voices too.
Oh man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've spun the wheel by the request of the chat. What's your favorite plugin? Leave that in the chat. We'll come back to the video later. I'm sure we'll see that. So if the video is not officially completely finished by the time YouTube gets done with it, because it does take a little bit of time for YouTube to upload that and get it all, you can always leave any of your comments or anything like that in the comment section of that video as well. They don't have to just be in the live chat. So I did notice while we were doing this that we didn't have too many questions from the audience, and I did post this as being open to audience questions. However, I've already taken up enough of his time today. So if you want to ask any questions, post them in the comment section of the video, and I'll get those over to him, or I'm sure he's going to be looking in the comment section as well, and he'd be more than happy to help answer any questions that you have. So you guys are awesome. Keep rocking. And you know the motto around here. We can create alone. We can dream alone. We can create alone. I've forgot my own motto now. We can we can dream alone. We can even create alone. But together, we can achieve so much more. God bless you all.
Thank you, Robert.
Awesome. All right, Sanjay, it's just me and you now, buddy. Woo.